What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Gathering Online. My name is Maddie. I'm here with my friends Brittany and Grace, and we are so excited to be joining you with online worship today. Hi, friends.
Hello. Hey, Maddie. Hey,
How's
Grace.
it going?
This is such a fun crew. You guys are amazing.
We are.
How has your day been? Good?
Productive.
Productive?
Yeah,
Effective.
same.
Love that.
Summer Grace is loving life right now.
Amazing.
So, yeah,
Give me
did
some of
some
that.
reading, some therapizing, was therapized.
Okay.
Yeah,
All of the best
Just want
things.
chunks of that.
obviously, yeah.
Amazing. Well, friends, I'm so glad that you're here, and I am so glad that you're here joining us today for worship. Brittany, will you tell us a little bit about the ways we can get connected when we're not viewing together?
Yes. One of the perfect ways that I always tell people time after time to get connected to The Gathering is through our Gathering app. And you simply can download it through any of our app stores, but it's the way for you to look up at worship, look up particularly upcoming events. I think anything that you may probably have a question to, you can probably find it in the Gathering app. So I would definitely recommend that you roll over and download it right now.
Also, another way that you can find out what's going on between Sundays is following us on Facebook or Instagram. We've got upcoming events, which summer is happening right now, and other worship content that you can take a peek at, pictures from different things that we're doing, and that is at gathering_now on Instagram or facebook.com/gatheringnow.
Amazing. And friends, I have such a fun announcement to make today. I'm excited that we get to make it together. I know. I will be taking over as our online worship pastor here at The Gathering.
Okay.
I know. It is so exciting. I pretty much live on the internet, and I've been trying to lightly dabble in all things Gathering online pretty much since I've been here. Some of you who've been around
Clawing
a while,
her way in.
truly just like slowly creeping in. If you've been around a while, you've seen me on some of these pre-games. I've done some of the podcasts. I've helped out on social media. I've dabbled in a few different places. And so I'm really excited to get to step into this space and to continue building on this really awesome foundation we've laid together as The Gathering Online and what that looks like. You might notice as we gather that over the next few weeks, our online worship experience might look a little different from what it's been in the past. My goal is to find a way to make this the most easy to access and the most value added experience for you. So I'm trying to figure out what that's going to look like. So I appreciate your grace over these last few weeks as we've figured out what online worship will be. And I'm really grateful preemptively for it as we move forward, because it's going to take some time to get some footing, but I have some ideas that I think are going to be really wonderful in helping you get further connected here at The Gathering and with this online community. Part of what I want to do is find a way to get some feedback from you and to hear what your experience has been. And so if you head over to the Gathering Online Facebook group, and you can literally search The Gathering Online and it should pop up. I've got polls running all week long, just asking some questions around what you value in online community and what experiences have been the most helpful to you as you've gotten more connected. What ideas do you have for this space? I'm trying to include as many voices as I can to the planning process so that as we put a plan out, it really is something that reflects the needs of this community as well as the folks who aren't here yet. So if you get a chance, head over, fill out some questions on that Facebook group. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm really excited for what's going to lie ahead.
Fun. I love polls.
Oh, it's so exciting. I cannot wait to see what you guys have in store for me. Love all of the ideas. And with that, y'all, we're going to roll into the message. So we will catch you in the postgame.
The nights when worry finds me in the middle of a fight, when strength is gone, in the middle of a fire, when fear is closing and you are my song. You're my hope when hope is gone. I will cast my cares on you, the Almighty. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you're good. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you love me, you love me. Oh, oh, because you love me. night. I'll pray with confidence in the middle of a fight. You're greater still in the middle of a fire. Your love is holding me. You are my song. You're my hope when hope is gone. I will cast my cares on you, the Almighty. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you're good. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you love me. You love me. Oh, oh, because you love me. God of glory, you are able through your power to be faithful. God of mercy, every moment you are near to me. God of glory, you are able through your power to be faithful. God of mercy, every moment you are near to me. I will cast my cares on you, the Almighty. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you're good. I will cast my cares on you, 'cause you love me. You love me. Oh, oh, because you love me.
What's up, everybody? My name is Maddie. I'm here with my friend Sarah, and we are both pastors at The Gathering, sitting down for a conversation around our sermon series, Dynamic Duos. I'm so excited for the message this week, and I know that there is a ton of themes and context and content that didn't make it into the message. So we decided to sit down and have a conversation about all the things that landed on the cutting room floor. Here are some of the highlights.
And like both of them are women, so like usually the man is the one that would be listened to, but then God has flipped that again. It's almost like God sides with the people that society often puts to the side. I think that Mary's discerning and wise. She's often described as perplexed, wondering, pondering, or holding things close to her heart. That is not somebody who's submissive. That's somebody who is really, really pondering these things that God has laid on their heart. And I think that's part of the reason that she was kind of like select.
You can catch the full conversation on the Gathering app, on our YouTube channel, and across our social platforms. Be sure to check that out at some point this week. And until then, here's the message.
Hello, good morning. My name is Sarah Rugenstone. I'm the site pastor at the Clayton site. And can I just say that I'm genuinely grateful for each of you today and how you showed up to worship. Your very presence here makes this whole experience richer and more vibrant. You are each a gift. So we have been in the midst of a series called Dynamic Duos. We've been learning about duos in the Bible and how their relationships and stories can inform our own lives and relationships today. So far, we've learned about Ruth and Naomi, two women who were fiercely loyal to one another. We also learned about David and Nathan and how their relationship was built upon trust and telling hard truths. As we dive in today, I want you to keep your own relationships at the front of your mind. Romantic, platonic, familial, work, whatever. I want you to keep those at the forefront of your mind as we consider how these stories in this series might inform our own lives and relationships. How can they help improve them? I've been thinking about this myself, and with this week's story of Mary and Elizabeth, a relationship in my own life came to the forefront of my mind, me and my mom. So, my mom has held many jobs, She's an incredibly smart and talented woman. Before I was born, she was a lawyer, and when I was little, until I was like a teenager, she was the children's minister at my church, and then she eventually transitioned out of that role into the executive director and then the accountant at the church for several years. And then she ended up leaving the church while I was an undergrad and took some time off and decided to become a certified copy editor. She was in classes to do that while I was in undergrad studying religion. So, here's the thing about my mom. She was made for ministry. Her heart is for people. But she grew up in a time where women in pastoral positions were not as common. She just didn't know that to be an option. However, she'd been ministering in each position she held in some form or another. Now, fast forward to undergrad, to grad school. I'm starting at Duke to get my Master's of Divinity, and my mom, around the same time, she began taking classes to become a local licensed pastor here in Missouri. A lot of people are like, oh, you must have inspired her then, like if you were in divinity school and she started taking those classes, but I don't think that's the case. I think that call had been chasing her entire life, and she finally accepted that it was something she was capable of down the line as like a fourth career. In my last year of divinity school, she was appointed to a church in Springfield, Missouri as an associate local licensed pastor. That's right, she beat me to it. Mom is an overachiever. But what's cool about this is in my last year of divinity school, I was wrestling with my call. Was this really a thing I was meant to do? Actually? Could I do this in this system? And here my mom was doing the thing. So we chatted a lot about the ups and downs of her role, the ups and downs of my schooling, and eventually I too became a local licensed pastor and came here to work at the gathering. So my mom and I often chat about our shared experiences of being in ministry, of answering our calls, and how challenging that can be. And it's a really cool thing, because it's not like my mom has been a pastor for years and is mentoring me in that way. We started this journey right around the same time. Life doesn't operate on a standard, straightforward timeline. We're both very new to this work, and we can share and relate through that. We're able to support one another in a really unique and beautiful way. Here we are at the conference, two introverted pastors and a sea of networking extroverts, bless them. So my mom and I understand each other and our positions in a really special way by the nature of the timing in which we found ourselves in these roles as pastors. And I couldn't help thinking about her and our relationship as I wrote this sermon about our duo today. This week, we're going to talk about two figures who you might not have thought of as a duo necessarily, but they do have a bond and relationship that is beautiful. Today, we're going to hear about Mary, mother of Christ, and Elizabeth, mother of John the Baptist. Two pretty important ladies, and it's not just because they gave birth to important men. That is not the main point of Mary and Elizabeth. No, here we see a story of deep, unwavering faith, mutual support, and two women who received messages from God and accepted their call, both at very different points in their life. Here's a little bit of background. Okay, so we're in the land of Galilee and the land of Judah for this story. Mary resides in Galilee, while Elizabeth and her hubby, they live in Judah. Those two spots are not super close. Look, I brought a map for you all, just so you can see. And if it's blurry, I apologize, but all that really matters is that you know that Galilee is way up there, and Judah, way down there. So, now that we have the lay of the land, let's start with Elizabeth, because that's where the story picks up in Luke. So who is she? Why is she significant? Well, Elizabeth is related to Mary. She's a close relative, maybe a cousin. She's the daughter of a priest named Aaron. So this means that she's kind of from a significant family in the area. And she was also married to a priest named Zechariah. And up until this point, they had no children. The text says this about Zechariah and Elizabeth. They were both righteous before God, blameless in their observance of all of the Lord's commandments and regulations. That comes from Luke chapter 1, verse 6. Her inability to reproduce does not equate unfaithfulness. Oftentimes, the ability or inability to bear children was used as a marker of faithfulness. But we know from this story that Elizabeth was a faithful, complete, loved woman of God, regardless of her body's ability to reproduce. Matter of fact, Elizabeth even says it was the people who disgraced her about not having children, not God. Wild, right? People comparing themselves and judging others' timelines in life when there very clearly is no timeline for life, or at least no standard one. So that community is not her support. She will find her support in Mary, her young relative whose experiences also prove life's timelines cannot be predicted, but more on that later. So, here are Elizabeth and Zechariah, just a cute little old couple minding their business, doing their daily routine, obeying the law of God. And one day, while Zechariah is in the sanctuary, he's doing his ritual of burning incense, and bam, an angel of the Lord comes and visits Zechariah, and he's very scared. Now, the angel Gabriel tells Zechariah that he and Elizabeth will, in fact, have a baby, and they're to name him John. Zechariah questions the angel, and as a response, the angel makes Zechariah mute. So we're in a little bit of a predicament here. He's mute, but he's sitting on some pretty important information here. Now, the text does not say how this was communicated to Elizabeth, that she would then be having John. The text pretty much says something along the lines of Zechariah went home and Elizabeth became pregnant. Can we sit with that for a minute, with this scenario? The angel visited her husband and gave her husband a huge life-changing message for Elizabeth too. And then her husband is not able to communicate that with her, at least not through words. And so presumably, Zechariah comes home, mute, and frantically looking for ways to explain what just happened to Elizabeth. And poor Elizabeth is probably sitting there going, what is this? What is going on? Maybe it was a really intense, very high-stakes game of charades. Zechariah comes in, angel, baby, you. So, talk about faithful. Somehow, some way, this message is communicated secondhand to Elizabeth, and she believes. She has faith that God's hand is in this whole thing. Like I said, life does not operate on some standard, straightforward timeline. Things happen at different times for different people. She even keeps to herself for 5 months of her pregnancy, saying that the Lord has shown favor on her, that this is the Lord's doing. Elizabeth is so faithful, that when she gives birth and everyone suggests naming him Zechariah like his dad, she's like, no, this is John, which God named him. And Zechariah runs in, scribbles, this is John, on a piece of paper, and then he's unmuted. I love that for him. But we're going to leave the hills of Judah for a minute and trek back up towards Galilee. You with me? So who's Mary? Okay, we find Mother Mary, but she's not Mother Mary yet. She's Mary, likely 12 to 14 years old, which is extremely young, yes, but we need to remember we're working with different traditions and times and life expectancies. So those are all important things to keep in mind here. She's engaged, and she's also not the daughter of a priest. So she was not as well off as Elizabeth and Zechariah. She comes from humble beginnings. Mary is just straight up favored by God. And Mary's minding her own business and gets her own visit from an angel of the Lord herself. And here's what that encounter looks like. Angel Gabe hops on the scene and says, "Rejoice, favored one, the Lord is with you." She was confused by these words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. The angel said, "Don't be afraid, Mary, God is honoring you. Look, you will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus." Now, I want to note a couple things here. Because do you remember when the angel visited Zechariah? The text says that Zechariah was so spooked and panicked to see the angel in the sanctuary. However, a literal angel of the Lord appears to Mary, a potential 12-year-old girl, and she's not really scared. She's just kind of confused and perplexed, which is such a metal move. She looks up from her morning coffee, as a 12-year-old in Galilee does, and there's an angel there, and she goes, okay, not where I thought my day was going. I'm going to tangent here for a minute because it gives some more insight to their experience with these angels. Y'all, there's a reason, a good reason angels say, do not be afraid. It's because they are scary in appearance. Eurocentric art has lied to us yet again. Just as Jesus wasn't white, angels are not human. They also probably didn't really sing. They yell. So yeah, no cherub babies, no men with six-packs and flowing blonde locks and wings. No, I'm sorry to do this to you, but it's actually more like this. And if you don't feel like being a little spooked, don't look at the screen right now. Yeah, okay, so the immediate greeting of, no, don't be scared. I am from up top, not down below. That is really necessary for angels to drop when they come and visit us mere humans. So this potential understanding of what angels looks like just further solidifies how hardcore Mary was. She was perplexed, confused. I would have passed out. So yeah, anytime you hear the narrative that Mary was like submissive and meek, remind yourself of this here story. She receives a call, a life-altering call from a spooky angel, probably the highest call a human can receive, to literally be the bearer of God as a young, underprivileged woman. Put some respect on Mary's name. The angel Gabriel relays the message to her, and Mary's like, how is that going to work? I'm a virgin. Did you think of that? And he responds by saying, the Holy Spirit will come over you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. The text goes on to say that the one who is to be born will be holy. He will be called God's Son. Look, even in her old age, your relative Elizabeth has conceived a son. This woman who was labeled unable to conceive is now 6 months pregnant. Nothing is impossible for God. Then Mary said, I am the Lord's servant. Let it be with me, just as you have said. And then the angel left her. So Mary and Elizabeth both have incredibly faithful and discerning hearts in their own ways in this story. Mary has faith that somehow this plan of her getting pregnant, not by her fiance before she's married, will work. And she'll be a mother to the Son of God. Elizabeth has faith that what her frantic, temporarily mute husband said was true, or what he wrote was true, and that she would give birth to the one who would prepare the way for Christ. This also cannot have come without some hesitation and fear. You can be faithful and still be scared. So the angels were scary in appearance, but their message was scarier. The angel Gabriel came and flipped both of these women's lives on their heads. Life was about to shift dramatically, and they both were about to experience something new and unknown. I think this fear can be found in our own lives too when we're doing something unknown and new. I know without a doubt it showed up for me. I was scared of what this call to ministry meant for me, and my mom was too. Thankfully, just like Mary and Elizabeth and me and my mother, God places people in our lives that can be of support and a place of grounding for one another. We're now reaching the point in the story where we're about to see that support play out. Mary goes to visit Elizabeth. Their stories have already been deeply intertwined before this, so Mary decides to go and be with Elizabeth through her pregnancy, through the remainder of Elizabeth's pregnancy and the start of Mary's. So they can sit in these wild experiences they've had together. Here's what it says in Luke. Mary got up and hurried to a city in the Judean highlands. She entered Zechariah's home and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. With a loud voice, she blurted out, "God has blessed you above all women, and he has blessed the child you carry. Why do I have this honor that the mother of my Lord should come to me?" As soon as I heard your greeting, the baby in my womb jumped for joy. Happy is she who believed that the Lord would fulfill the promises he made to her. So John literally jumped in Elizabeth's womb when Mary arrived pregnant with Christ. And Elizabeth felt this fully. The moment Mary enters, Elizabeth remarks that God has blessed Mary. This must have been a significant moment for Elizabeth while she had faith, yes, but to actually see something that's been predicted playing out outside of your own life, that must have been monumental, solidifying that God's plan was coming to fruition. They both kind of have this moment. Mary seeing Elizabeth super pregnant in her old age solidified it for Mary too, probably. This is happening. God had shown them both favor, and they both had each other to experience it with. So Mary's like 12 and pregnant with the literal Son of God. That would be a whole lot to carry and process. And then Elizabeth is old, and she now finds herself pregnant with a big name too, John the Baptist. She'd never given birth before. That too would be a lot to carry and process. They both had encounters with the Lord that ended up changing their lives. They had similar experiences that they could share together and process with one another. And Elizabeth was a woman who was significantly older than Mary. So while she hadn't experienced childbirth, she still had more life experience to impart on Mary as well. So here are these two women who had never experienced something like this before, but were called to it. And they had each other to go through it with. Even though they're far apart geographically, they get to go through this together. And that's why that story reminds me so much of me and my mom, because we too have never experienced this role. And all of its challenges and complexities, but thankfully we're so similar and we have each other to process, sit with, talk to, and cry with. Just someone to experience this with and together. God gifts us with people, relationships. We were built to not be alone. Mary wasn't supposed to experience that all on her own, and God directed her toward Elizabeth, who is in a similar boat. God sets supports in our lives if we're willing to look around and find them and utilize them. We too are supports in other people's lives as well. People who can be a grounding person. We're people who can be a grounding person for relationships in our lives. We can do this by showing up for one another, by listening first, by being together, and experiencing life in all its complexities with someone. I hope this week that you'll be considering your own relationships and how they're supports in your life. Are they sturdy and grounding? Or are they splintering and harming you? Consider them carefully. Highlight and pour into the relationships of loyalty, the ones that create the freedom and space to tell hard truths in love, and the ones that share similar experiences to you, who can sit with you in something. They're each so important and should be treated with tenderness, care, and love. Will you pray with me? God of presence, be with us this week as we consider the relationships in our own lives. Are they ones that support us and lead us towards your love? Or are they ones that harm us and leave us feeling even more isolated than before? Sit with us, God, as we seek support in our own lives. Give us the strength and courage it takes to be that support to others as well. Highlight the ways in which we can grow, and thank you for the ways in which these relationships bless us and help keep guiding our lives. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
what an awesome message from Pastor Sarah. I really love hearing that story, and it's really fun to get to hear it from her point of view. I think is really awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in and being in worship with us today. I really hope that you enjoyed your time and had a positive experience. Before you go, there's a couple of things that we want to invite you into. One of them is a moment of generosity. Every time we get together as a community, we participate in the act of giving. We believe that when we share what we have with others, that not only opens us up to what God might want to do in our own life, but it allows us to participate in what God is doing in the lives of others. And so, today, if you feel so led to participate in what the Spirit is doing, not just in St. Louis, but in the world and beyond, I want to invite you to check out the ways to give, which are going to be up on the screen below me.
Thank you for that, Maddie. I would say also another thing that we would like to invite you into is to fill out that Connect card. A lot of times people think we just want to get your information, but we really want to support and care for you, because having a faith community that supports you as you navigate life is so critical, especially as a time such as now. So we'll just love for you to take a moment to fill out that Connect card. You can do it either through the Gathering app or on our website.
And after those invites from us, if you liked what you heard today and you enjoyed what we have to offer here at the Gathering online, invite a friend next time. Have them come with you. You can also send them the info that we have on our Facebook group and Instagram. Be sure to check out those polls that we're anxiously awaiting.
Yes, please.
Bring a friend next time.
Absolutely. Friends, we are so grateful that you're here. And with that, I want to send us off with this blessing. May you know that the love of Christ is with you, that it surrounds you, and it walks with you all throughout your week. Amen.